Good morning. I need to make a follow-up on this video from last night talking about guys who are in a fantasy world contacting escorts that they want to date or that they can't afford. And I want to say in my personal life, I don't have those same requirements about a guy having money. But I posted something on my Twitter today, and by the way, that's under a stage name, is that I would never date a guy who is browsing through the escort ads or who is browsing through dating apps. It just bothers me when men are not asking women out in real life. Like, that bothers me. The fact that you weren't man enough to approach me in person. And, I get that no one likes rejection. I don't like rejection. But I guess it's just a fantasy, that we have as women. That I'm reading a book right now called A Billion Wicked Thoughts. And in the romance novel, the women always want this very alpha guy, this badass guy who has a sweet spot in her heart just for her. And I guess it's the same as the men who want a low body count woman. They want this beautiful, sexy woman who has preserved her sexuality for only him. Only he can unleash her sexuality. And for women, we feel like only we can inspire you to want to come up and talk to us. And that's real for me. And there are men who actually do that. And that's one of my requirements, actually. So, the idea being, and guys are always like, oh, I get so nervous when I just go up and talk to a woman. I'm like, yes, you do. And we know that. And that's what we want. If you come up to me and talk to me and you're not nervous, I'm going to be very suspicious of you. I'm going to think that you're just a player. If you come up to me and are super nervous, I'm going to think that you're putting me on a pedestal. Like, you have to have just the right amount of nervousness. Because men don't come up to women. It isn't just me. I've been single, oh my God, for almost 10 years. I have a lot of single friends, and men don't come up to any of us. Unless they're drinking and in a bar or something, that doesn't count. They don't do it. So the idea being, a man would see me and be like, oh my God, she's the one. She's the one. I'm so nervous. Either she's the one and he's so excited about me that his nervousness is secondary, or he's willing to take the risk. He's willing to take the chance. Kind of like he would take a risk to give a speech or to apply for a job. Like, he wants me badly enough. I inspire him on some level. I turn him on or I inspire him. So despite his nervousness, he comes up and talks to me. And that's what we as women want. You're supposed to be nervous, guys. Now, hopefully the women you approach are kind to you, but usually the response might be no thank you. It's going to be like that, to be honest. But you have to be willing to risk it. And so, the most natural way really that we've always met people is through our social circle. And people just are not socializing as much as they used to, so it's a little harder. But if a guy's just browsing online, so here's my question. Why are you asking me on a date? Why aren't you asking women you meet in real life? Why aren't men asking me in real life? Okay, you want to ask me on a date because you saw me in an escort ad, okay? Because guys who see me in real life don't ask me on dates. They don't ask to film with me. They don't ask, see, that's why I blur my face in all my ads. Like, people on my ads, they don't know that I'm Sharzad Morgan and that I look like this. I blur my face and I use a stage name. Because with that persona of being a sex worker or being an escort, certain men like that. It turns them on or it attracts them. But to get that persona of who I am, I'm not going to give you guys my stage name. Let's say it's Cindy. Okay, they want Cindy, but Cindy has done a lot of things to make herself Cindy. She has courage, she's taken risks, she's this escort sex worker persona, and she's sexually available for a price, and that's what they want. So then they should pay that price. And I'm not sure I would want to date a guy, honestly. I'm going to be honest, who is seeing escorts and who is watching porn. I don't want to date someone like that. Now, I'm providing a service to these guys. Like, that's the same way as if I were a therapist, but I wouldn't necessarily want to see a guy who's in therapy. I want a guy who's healed. You know, I think that therapy is like good for short term when people have a problem, but I don't want to date a guy who's got problems or who's taking depression medication or anti-anxiety medication. You know, it would be like me being an obesity specialist. I wouldn't want to date a guy who's obese. I do respect my clients, okay, but I don't want to date them. Does that make sense? It would be like I'm a debt relief counselor, but I don't want to date a guy who has debt. Does that make sense? Because this is what I really think a man should do. A man should figure out how to get his wife to fuck him. And if she doesn't, he should haul her ass into therapy. And if she doesn't want to fuck him, he should leave her. That's what I think. Unless she has a health issue and is about to die, why is he with her? You know, why is he going outside the marriage? I'm happy to provide that service, but that's a service, that's business. It's not personal, it's not dating. Likewise, I provide a very convenient service. I respect my guys because, see, they're very direct and they're very honest and they're not playing games with me. They're paying for a service. And usually it's someone who's married, who hasn't, you know, who wants to stay married and who's okay with his wife not having sex with him, even though it bothers him. He's not willing to challenge that or go to therapies. He's just willing to deal with an unhappy marriage. Put it that way. Because why are you married to someone who isn't fucking you? You know? And if she isn't, there should be, you know, I'm all about honesty here. I also see men who work a lot or who don't want a relationship. They don't want a relationship, or they're very shy, or I get younger guys who have this older woman fantasy. So I fill in these spots, but that isn't dating. See, because if a man, ideally, a man gets all the sex he wants, hot, juicy, passionate sex, like the guy who left the comment in one of my videos, like, I want a woman who takes it in the ass and who you know, wiggles her ass when I, what did he say? Pound it from the back? Or whatever, you know, like fun. And a man deserves that, and a woman will give him that. But I forgot what I was going to say because I saw a message come in here. I'm on Telegram and I get all these messages about what's going on with things that I can't even talk about on YouTube because my channel will get taken down. So I need to make a video. I'm going to make a video for Rumble today talking about a lot of these things that are happening in the world. But anyway, so I get men who are married, their wives aren't having sex. Okay, I don't want to date married men, and I don't want to date men going through a divorce. Like, can you be single for a year and show me you can live alone? Can you be fit? Can you be single? Can you make more money than I do? And can you be really interested in me? Those things are very hard to find. I haven't found one yet. Anyway, I also get younger guys, or I get guys who are afraid to talk to women. Okay, this is what I was going to say. Ideally, so the best way for a man to get sex isn't to pay an escort. It's to get a girlfriend. It's to get a girlfriend, get a wife, get married, be in a relationship. Because you can have better sex, you can have sex every day. Or every other day, you know, 2 or 3 times a week regularly if you're in a healthy relationship. And that is the best way to get sex. And so I always encourage men. I don't ask men to book me. By the way, YouTube would take my channel down if I did. But I'm always a person that's encouraging men to get a girlfriend. That's how you get sex. And that's how you get good sex. And so I wouldn't date a guy who is afraid to get a girlfriend or afraid to approach women. I like a strong, confident man, because if you're too afraid to talk to me in real life, how are you going to protect me from the world? And I want you to protect me. If you're not inspired enough by seeing me with my clothes on, I don't want to take my clothes off for you. And I'm going to repeat that 3 times because I really, really feel that way. I want you to feel inspired enough with my clothes on, in a long, pretty dress like the one I wore in the video yesterday, the green velvet dress, to come up to me and talk to me, not because you saw my ass in a G-string on an ad. I will only date a man who's inspired enough by me and sees something in me, some beauty, with my clothes on, not a guy who saw me with my ass sticking out on an escort ad. And I, again, the 3rd time, I don't want to date a man who's approaching me because he saw my booty in an ad. I want a man who wants to date me because he sees my beauty, my feminine essence beauty. He's not, it's going to turn him on, but it's not just about the ass and the tits. And I think a lot of women can relate to that. Like, we want you to want us, but we want you to want all of us. And I think men can relate to that. A lot of men are saying, I don't know if this woman likes me for me or my money. But you want a woman who likes you for you, and then she finds out you have money, right? You want to know, you want to be liked. You want to be with someone, if you're a healthy person, we want to be with someone who likes us for us. Not just for our bodies and not just for our money. And yes, I absolutely believe that women, we have to keep ourselves attractive for our partners. And men too, we have to. But I don't want a guy to ask me on a date because he saw my ass in an ad. And so that's why I want to meet men in real life. And I don't want to meet men who are afraid to talk to women and whose throat chakra is closed, because there are a lot of men whose throat chakra is closed. They're not comfortable with public speaking and this and that, and that's fine if you're a shy person too, or you don't mind. But I was married to a guy who was more introvert than I was, and that always bothered me because it's easy for me to talk to people or to give public speeches or to make these videos, you know. And I want a man who's also comfortable talking to people and expressing himself, and his throat chakra is open and who's expressed. I don't want to date a guy who's approaching me from behind a keyboard. I just don't. And, you know, unfortunately, that means I may never date. I was talking to someone recently who met his current wife on eHarmony probably like 15 years ago. And he was telling me how I could really, you know, really meet a great guy and all that. And I'm like, I've been online. Like, the online dating world has really changed. Even men in their 50s and 60s are just looking for sex. I did have a dinner date with this guy from eHarmony, and he was really nice and everything, but he couldn't even afford to book an appointment with me. He didn't, and even though I was like, okay, well, it was a nice date, I'm not sure about going out again. And I did tell him about my profession. He's like, oh my God, I would love to book an appointment with you. I'll let you know. And then he texted me once or twice, but I know he just couldn't afford it. So why would I want to date a guy who's that broke? I mean, there's a part of me that wants to say, like, money doesn't matter. But there's another part of me that says I need to have standards. And if a guy can't even come up with the $500 to make an appointment, he either is way too broke if he doesn't have that money laying around, or he's just not that interested in me. Like, I don't know, something seems off with that. If you're that broke, you should be meeting me in real life. You know, if you don't have the money, then you gotta have the ambition and the exuberance and the energy and the courage to make up for the lack of money. I want to feel your masculine energy. That's what I want to date you. So hiding behind a keyboard, looking for discounts, being broke, like have something to bring to the table, your masculine energy, your presence, and your resources. Even in romance novels, it's interesting that the the hero in the romance novels, there are millions of romance novels, they found the hero's always some very powerful, either he's a sheik or a millionaire or he's a soldier, like some alpha guy, but most of them are millionaires or billionaires. And as women have started earning more money, the women in the romance novels are now CEOs and executives and making good money, and the men that they're dating are have more money. They're they're always have more money. And women generally want a man with more money. And I've just been making excuses for men because I like them younger, and I'm like, younger guys just don't have as much money and all that. But like my one son who's working, he makes over 100,000 a year. He's in his 20s, so I think that should be minimum requirement for me, that a man should make at least 100,000 a year. Otherwise, um, you know, uh, he might look good, but if he can't even afford to take me out to Denny's, let alone the places I like to go. Um, it just wouldn't even be a really good relationship. And the problem is, there's so few men that are fit and outgoing and have masculine energy, especially in feminized California. California is very feminized. Men are shaving their chest hair, they're shaving their pubic hair, they're just shaving everything. They're trying to be feminized. And if I were somewhere more rural where men are hunting and have beards, like the convoy, the truckers in the convoy, like they're very masculine looking. I'm like, where the fuck are these guys from? Canada. I need to go there. I rarely see men like that in San Diego. But yeah, if they look like that, then they don't need money because they've got the masculine energy. So I think that a man has to have the ambition and the strength or the money, but to have neither one, I'm like, I'm good right here.